The lights of America's Got Talent shone bright, casting a golden glow across the grand stage as the audience buzzed with excitement. It was another night of music, hope, and dreams. The judges, Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Sofia Vergara, and Howie Mandel, settled into their seats, ready for the next act. The host's voice echoed through the auditorium. Next up, all the way from Cebu City in the Philippines, please welcome Maria de la Cruz and Jonas Bautista. From behind the curtain, two young Filipinos walked onto the stage. Maria, 20 years old, held her microphone tightly, her heart pounding so loud she could almost hear it. Jonas, 22, walked beside her, his eyes scanning the massive crowd that stretched out into darkness. The audience applauded politely, not knowing what to expect. Two simple kids from the Philippines on a stage known for the extraordinary, it seemed almost impossible. Simon leaned forward, resting his chin on his hand. His sharp eyes studied the pair curiously. "Hello," he said. "What are your names, and where are you from?" Jonas spoke first, his voice gentle but nervous. "Good evening, judges. I'm Jonas Bautista, and this is my best friend and singing partner, Maria de la Cruz. We came all the way from Cebu City, Philippines." At the mention of their country, a small cheer erupted from a few Filipinos in the crowd waving tiny flags. Maria smiled softly, her nerves slightly easing. "We grew up singing in our local church," she said. "We've always dreamed of performing on a big stage like this. Just being here is already a blessing." Simon nodded slowly. "That's lovely," he said. "What will you be performing for us tonight?" Maria looked at Jonas and then back at the judges. "We'll be singing You Raise Me Up by Josh Groban." Simon's expression grew thoughtful. "That's a powerful song," he said. "All right, take a deep breath, and show us what you've got." The lights dimmed. The audience fell silent. Then, the first soft piano notes filled the air. Maria closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and began to sing. Her voice was pure and filled with emotion, trembling at first but quickly finding its strength. Each word carried warmth, pain, and faith. The sound filled every corner of the room, and within seconds, the crowd was entranced. When Jonas joined in, his voice blended perfectly with hers, deep, rich, and steady. Together, they created something magical. Their harmony was seamless, like two hearts beating as one melody. The energy shifted in the room, people stopped moving, stopped whispering. It wasn't just a performance anymore, it was a story, told through music. The camera zoomed in on Simon. His usually unreadable expression softened. His eyebrows lifted slightly as if he had just witnessed something special. Heidi turned to Sofia, whispering, "They're amazing." Sofia nodded, eyes glistening with emotion. Maria and Jonas sang as if their lives depended on it. Each lyric carried years of practice, of dreams born under the warm Cebu sun, of nights singing in small gatherings and hoping that someday, someone would hear them. Their voices climbed higher, stronger, echoing with sincerity and soul. When the music swelled into the chorus, Maria's voice soared effortlessly, while Jonas' deep tone grounded her, creating a balance so perfect that even Simon leaned back in his chair, his eyes wide with surprise. The emotion in the room was electric. You could feel the pride, the heart, the unspoken love they poured into every word. As the final notes rang out, Maria's voice rose like a prayer, then faded softly into silence. The last note hung in the air, shimmering. For a heartbeat, there was no sound, no movement, just stillness. Then, in an instant, the entire theater erupted in applause. The audience jumped to their feet, cheering, clapping, screaming. The judges stood as well, giving them a full standing ovation. Maria covered her mouth in shock, tears welling in her eyes. Jonas stared at the crowd, unable to speak. They bowed deeply, overwhelmed by the wave of emotion crashing toward them. Simon smiled, a genuine, rare smile. He stood up, slowly, still clapping. When the noise finally calmed, he leaned toward his microphone. "I'm going to be honest," he said. "I didn't expect that. That was one of the most beautiful duets I've heard on this stage. You didn't just sing, you made us feel every single word." Howie nodded. "That's the kind of performance that reminds us why we love this show," he said. "You came here with nothing but your voices, and you blew everyone away." Maria wiped her tears, her voice trembling. "Thank you so much," she said softly. "We just wanted to make our families proud, and make the Philippines proud." Simon looked at them, admiration in his eyes. "Well, Maria and Jonas, tonight you didn't just make them proud, you made the entire world listen." The crowd roared again, louder than before. The camera panned across the audience, people holding Filipino flags, strangers smiling, some even crying. The duo waved, their faces glowing with disbelief and gratitude. As they walked off stage, Simon turned to the other judges and said quietly, "That's what real talent looks like. It's raw, it's emotional, and it's unforgettable." Backstage, Maria and Jonas hugged tightly, tears streaming down their faces. "We did it," Jonas whispered. "For Cebu. For everyone back home." Maria smiled through her tears, nodding. "For the Philippines." And for the first time that night, Simon Cowell's serious face broke into a proud smile, a moment that would soon go viral across the world. The theater was still buzzing from the power of Maria and Jonas' performance. Backstage, the two young singers clutched each other's hands, trembling, trying to process the standing ovation that had just rocked the stage. Out front, the judges were still standing. Simon Cowell among them, which almost never happened. The crowd refused to sit down, their applause rolling like thunder through the auditorium. Simon raised his hand, signaling for the noise to quiet down. The audience slowly settled, anticipation thick in the air. He looked at Maria and Jonas, who were still on stage, tears glistening in their eyes. For a moment, Simon didn't say a word. He just stared at them, lips pressed together, as if trying to find the right words. Then he finally spoke. "You know," he began, his voice low and sincere, "every season we see hundreds of singers come through those doors. Some are good, some are great, but very few make us feel something real." Maria wiped her tears, and Jonas bowed his head humbly. Simon continued, "That performance wasn't just good, it was magical. You took a song we've heard 1,000 times and made it sound completely new. That was pure emotion, pure connection, and pure heart. Honestly, that was one of the best duets I've ever heard on America's Got Talent." The crowd exploded again, clapping and cheering. Sophia leaned forward, smiling widely. "You two have something very special," she said in her warm accent. "Your voices, they fit together like puzzle pieces. You're not just singers, you're storytellers. I could feel every word, every emotion. It was beautiful." Heidi nodded in agreement, still visibly moved. "When you started, I had chills," she said. "And by the end, I was crying. Your harmony was perfection. You both have such powerful yet gentle energy, it's inspiring." Then Howie raised his hand, grinning. "You know what I love most about this performance," he said. "It's not just that you sang so perfectly, it's that you represented something bigger. You showed that it doesn't matter where you come from, or how small your hometown might be. Talent like that shines everywhere, even from Cebu City." The audience cheered again, some shouting "Mabuhay," and waving Filipino flags high in the air. Maria and Jonas laughed through their tears, their hearts full. Simon leaned closer to his microphone once more. "You know, when you walked out here, I wasn't sure what to expect," he admitted, glancing toward the other judges. "But you two, you've just proven something important. You've proven that true talent doesn't need fame, fancy lights, or big names. All it needs is honesty, and you gave us that tonight. He paused, smiling slightly. You just put Cebu City on the world map. At that, the audience erupted again, chanting "Golden Buzzer." Golden Buzzer, as confetti cannons glittered in the background from other performances. Maria and Jonas laughed nervously, glancing between the judges, not daring to hope. Simon chuckled softly, his eyes warm. "Let's hear from the rest before we decide," he said. Then, looking back at them, he added, "But no matter what happens, you've already won something far bigger tonight. You've won millions of hearts." Sophia leaned over and whispered something to Heidi, who nodded excitedly. Howie banged the table with his hand. "They deserve it," he shouted. The crowd joined him, clapping in rhythm. "They deserve it. They deserve it." Simon shook his head, pretending to resist. Then he stood up, looked at the golden buzzer, and smiled. "Oh, why not?" he said with a grin. He pressed the button. In an instant, a golden explosion filled the theater. Confetti rained down like stars falling from the heavens. Maria screamed, covering her face as Jonas dropped to his knees, crying in disbelief. The audience went wild, waving flags and cheering. Simon looked up at the glittering scene above him, smiling proudly. "That," he said softly, almost to himself, "is what dreams are made of." As the golden rain continued to fall, Maria and Jonas hugged tightly, tears mixing with laughter. The other judges rushed to the stage, congratulating them. Heidi embraced Maria, whispering, "You earned this." Sophia clapped Jonas on the shoulder, saying, "Filipino pride, right here." Simon watched them, his expression uncharacteristically emotional. When the host asked him what moved him to hit the golden buzzer, Simon said, "It wasn't just the singing. It was the heart." They reminded everyone tonight that real music doesn't come from the head, it comes from the soul. As the lights dimmed and the cameras captured the final moments, the audience continued chanting, "Philippines! Philippines!" The duo waved as the confetti swirled around them like a dream they never wanted to end. Backstage, moments later, Simon passed them as they celebrated with the crew. He stopped, smiled, and said quietly, "You two didn't just shock everyone tonight, you inspired us all." That night, the performance went viral around the world. Millions of people watched in awe, sharing the clip across social media. And in homes across the Philippines, from Cebu to Manila, from Davao to Iloilo, families gathered around screens, smiling with pride as Simon's words echoed across the internet, "You just put Cebu City on the world map." Within just a few hours after their unforgettable performance, social media across the Philippines and beyond began to explode. Clips of Maria de la Cruz and Jonas Bautista's golden buzzer moment flooded TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. The video was everywhere, people sharing it with captions like, "Proud to be Filipino," "Cebu City's shining stars," and "This is why music has no borders." The clip titled "Viral Pinoy Singers Shocks Everyone," uploaded by the YouTube channel Spread the Smile, quickly racked up millions of views. By morning, it had already hit 20 million, and within 3 days, over 50 million people around the world had watched their emotional duet. In Cebu City, their hometown was alive with excitement. Streets were decorated with posters showing Maria and Jonas surrounded by golden confetti. Local TV stations ran special segments celebrating their achievement. "Cebu's pride conquers the world stage," one headline read. Schoolchildren practiced singing "You Raise Me Up" in classrooms, imitating their now famous local heroes. Even small karaoke bars played their performance on repeat, with customers cheering every time Simon Cowell hit the golden buzzer. Meanwhile, in Manila, journalists couldn't stop talking about how two ordinary singers had carried the Filipino spirit onto the world's biggest stage. "It's not just about the voice," one anchor said during a live broadcast. "It's about how they sang with sincerity, humility, and faith. That's the heart of every Filipino dream." Across the ocean in Los Angeles, Simon Cowell himself sat for an interview the next morning. When asked what made him press the golden buzzer, Simon leaned back in his chair and smiled thoughtfully. "It wasn't planned," he said. "Sometimes, a performance just hits you in a way you can't explain." When Maria and Jonas sang, I didn't just hear their voices, I felt their story. Their performance was raw, emotional, and deeply honest. You could tell they weren't chasing fame. They were singing from their hearts, for their people. He paused, then added, "You see, music is universal. It doesn't matter if you're from London, Los Angeles, or Cebu City, when you hear something that moves your soul, you feel it." And those two, they reminded all of us what true talent sounds like. Clips of Simon's interview went viral too, especially among Filipino communities abroad. Overseas workers in Dubai, nurses in Canada, and students in Japan proudly shared his words, writing, "Finally, the world sees what Filipinos can do." The duo became symbols of hope, proof that no dream was too big, no distance too far. Back in the Philippines, Maria and Jonas were welcomed home like heroes. The airport was packed with fans waving flags and holding banners that read, "Welcome home, our golden voices," and "Cebu City loves you." Tears filled Maria's eyes as she saw her parents waiting in the crowd. Jonas knelt down to hug his grandmother, whispering, "We did it, Lola. We really did it." Local officials invited them to perform again, this time in front of thousands at Cebu's Plaza Independencia. When they stepped on stage, the crowd erupted. Before singing, Maria took the microphone and said, "We didn't expect any of this. We just wanted to share our music, and show the world that even small voices can make a big sound." Jonas added, "This golden buzzer isn't just for us. It's for every Filipino who dreams, works hard, and never gives up." As they began to sing, "You Raise Me Up," once more, the audience joined in, their voices blending with theirs under the open Cebu sky. The same harmony that had touched millions now echoed across their homeland, carried by love and pride. Later that evening, Spread the Smile uploaded a follow-up video titled, "How Two Pinoys Made the World Listen." In it, the narrator said, "Maria and Jonas reminded us all that greatness doesn't depend on where you come from, but on how much heart you bring to what you do." From Cebu to Hollywood, their voices reached the world, and their story continues to inspire millions. Simon's final words in the video echoed softly as footage of the golden confetti replayed. It wasn't about perfection. It was about passion. That's what made them viral. And as the music faded out, one simple line appeared on the screen. "Talent knows no borders, especially when it comes from the heart of the Philippines." Red Heart Philippines.